Okay, so let's get started. So we're Blue Llama. We are teaming up today with All Island Media, and we've got Matt Otten, who is the digital project manager, I think, of All Island Media. I think that's your job title, Matt. And yeah, we are looking. So we've created this webinar series, AI in Action. This is the first episode of it. And we decided to go with this kind of title because there's a lot of information out there about AI. And I don't think much of it is very accessible or practical or even aimed at SMEs, let alone sort of local businesses here in the Channel Islands. So we wanted to change that and give you some sort of practical examples of use cases out there in the wild that are being used by local businesses. And hopefully that can give a taste of what's going on out there and how your organization might be able to adopt AI as well. So yeah, this particular episode is all about customer service and how that can be streamlined using automation and AI. Just a bit of housekeeping. So if you could keep your sound muted, but do raise your hand if you have a question. There's a little raise hand button, although I have noticed that when I'm presenting here I can't actually see who's raised their hands, but I will check at the end, and if there's any questions at the end of my section, then we'll answer those. But then we will have a Q&A right at the end of the session. We are recording this, and a recording will be sent out to everyone. And of course, we also have an AI summary of what was discussed as well. So let's kick off. So today's flow. So I'm going to do an introduction, talk a little bit about Blue Llama, how we got to where we are, then talk about what is AI automation all about, and especially looking at the possibilities within customer service. Then Matt from All Island Media, they're the guys behind the JEP and Bailiwick Express. So he is going to talk about the kind of challenge that was being experienced in their customer services and why they came to Blue Llama to help resolve that. Then Anish, who is our AI automation lead, he is going to go through the solution, but talking about the process we went through to get there. And then he's also going to demonstrate the solution and various scenarios that the AI Clara that we created can deal with. Then back to Matt, who's going to talk about the impact that had on All Island Media, and then full circle back to me to talk about how you and within your organization you might want to take your first steps into AI automation. And then, as I said, we've got questions and answers at the end. So a little bit about me. So I began my career. Well, I've always worked within IT. I've done kind of customer service in terms of working within a service desk for IT. I've done application support, project management, web services, you name it, different areas around IT. I've always loved the internet, though. That's always been my passion. When I first had my first job at the NHS, I used to stay behind and create websites just for the hell of it. Really enjoyed that. And so, yeah, that continued that kind of passion until I established Blue Llama in 2012. So we were a web agency, a digital agency, and we created, so it began as me just creating websites for small businesses, and then it kind of scaled a little bit, and I got in a developer and got in a designer and then got a project manager and then some more developers and blah, 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 blah. So we're a fully remote team based across Europe. So it's just me here in Jersey. You got Anish in London, and then the rest of the team spread throughout Europe all the way to Maria in Bulgaria, and kind of everywhere in between. So we have a team of 8 spread around 6 countries. That's my belief. Our clients, so we have a range of clients, predominantly based here in Jersey. We do have 1 or 2 in the States. Well, actually one in the States, a few in the UK, and a couple in Guernsey. So we deal, some of the clients you may have come across, we deal with all the parishes. We create the dog licensing system for them. We deal with quite a few government sort of quangos. We've just done the website for Statistics Jersey, for example, a number of commissions that we do the website for. So Broadlands, D2, I think they're on the call, Rubis, Avis, and of course, All Island Media. So yeah, so our kind of evolution into AI. So yeah, for the first 10, 11 years of Blue Llama, it was all about websites and web applications. But we always took a big focus on user experience and customer journeys, and looking at how to make things as simple as possible for the users of the website, and then also how the websites could really help the businesses not just in gain new leads, but in also their processes, and feed information into the business to make it more streamlined. So get rid of more self-service and yeah, more streamlined. So that's always been a focus, and bringing value from the website, which might be outside of the normal, a pretty looking website. We kind of built quite functional websites which are nicely integrated into the business. So then ChatGPT launched about nearly 3 years ago, and it was like, wow, what is this? Where did this come from? So AI had obviously been around before, but that was a big moment that everyone kind of got stuck into. Hugely powerful even back then. It's obviously come a long way since then. But the whole generative AI, it was like, wow, how can this be incorporated into businesses? There must be value here. So it took around a year or so of discovering and researching, and there's this guy on YouTube who kind of coined the term AI automation agency, and followed him for a long time. And yeah, so that's kind of where we saw things, and we started developing chatbots. So chatbots based on your company's information, so internal in terms of policies and procedures, and understanding your products and services, so that could be used by your staff internally, and then externally for customers, to learn about your products, services, all that kind of stuff, but sort of publicly accessible information. But then yeah, automation came in. We looked at tools like make.com and Zapier, and we saw great possibilities with those, and incorporating generative AI like OpenAI's ChatGPT, with Claude, and all the other models, Gemini and Llama, all of those. So yeah, it became obvious that there was a lot of power in those, and they could really drive value for businesses. So we still do web, but we're seeing a lot of momentum building in the AI space. So lastly, in terms of our values, last thing for Blue Llama, simplification and clarity is super important to us. So really taking things down to their essence and making it simple as possible and as clear as possible. Doing stuff properly, so really building robust and scalable solutions is important to us, and then digging deep. So the discovery part of our projects is super important, where we keep asking questions and why do you do this, until you discover these kind of aha moments. So we're not moving over to you yet, Matt. So what is AI automation? So I understand this is a term that we use day in, day out within Blue Llama, but for you guys listening, it may be something a little bit alien. So it's really about taking your existing processes that occur within your organization and automating either fully process, which we have done, and there's one we did for All Island Media that Matt might touch upon in the past, or just taking a part of it and automating just that part of it. So it tends to be kind of mundane, repetitive tasks that your team do, like generating reports or data entry or something like that we can take, and then that bit can be automated, and it frees up your team to focus on higher value work, the strategy stuff, the business relationship stuff, which only a human being can deal with. So it's saving you time, it's saving you cost, it can get things done faster. It's 24 hours in a day, it can work whenever, and sometimes it also can do things consistently, more consistently than a human being. So overall, it leads to competitive advantage. So the automation part about this is creating workflows that connect your different software together. So all modern software have something called an API, which allows you to send information into it or extract information from it, update records, insert records to it. So automation is about connecting those bits of software together. So it could be your CRM in case of customer service, it could be your service desk, your accounting software, your email, your spreadsheets, chat tools, all these different things, and having a workflow that connects them together and passes data between those different systems. So for example, you could be recording some time you spent against a task in Zendesk, then in the evening, an automation could run that checks the client details for that particular task in, say, Salesforce, and then extracts some information from there, and then sends the time recording to an invoice in Xero. So that would be a kind of simple example. Now, where it gets interesting is the AI part. So AI obviously has an understanding of the world. So it has this intelligence. So if you give it, for example, an invoice, it kind of understands what an invoice is. It understands who's requesting money, who has to pay the money, that it's for a particular service, and this is the amount. So it understands all those parts of the invoice. On top of that real world understanding that it has, you can also feed it particular stuff about your business. So as well as having this general understanding that it's learned from the internet, we can chuck it your policies, your procedures, your service, PDFs about your services or product offering, and it can understand all that stuff as well. So not only does it have this real world understanding, it understands more about your business. So using that, we can then get it to make decisions as part of the automation. There can be little chunks of AI decision making within that automation, which allows it to do things. So taking that example of an invoice, you could have a procedure in place that says, for invoices under £500, we automatically pay those. Therefore, the AI knows it can send that invoice to Xero to get paid. If it's over £500, it has to be sent to this email address and has to get authorization before we can send it over to Xero. So part of that is automation, but part of that we can use the AI to look at the invoice, decide how much it is, and decide which route it goes down. Okay, so what tools are we using as in this process? So we use no-code and low-code automation platforms. So that means it's really quick to create these automations, and it doesn't need a coding knowledge. So platforms like you may have heard of Zapier, Make.com, N8N, and then more so now we're using the Microsoft Power Automate tools, Copilot Studio, and Azure AI. And the reason why we're choosing Microsoft is because they're investing heavily into AI and the agentic web. So hedging your bets with a company like that is a good idea. Secondly, a lot of our clients already use the Microsoft tools. So the native integrations between, say, Outlook and Dynamics CRM, Teams, even Excel. So it's easier to link up those tools within the Microsoft automation platform. And then lastly, around data privacy and data protection, it just means you're keeping your data within an existing Microsoft tenant that you have. So we're not going out to Make.com or to OpenAI and sending your data elsewhere within Europe. We're keeping it within your existing data center. So it's in the data that we're sending to the LLM, for the AI is in the same place that your emails would be, for example. So okay, so that's in a nutshell what AI automation is. So what I'd like to do now is let's go through this particular real world scenario, and I'm going to hand over to Matt now, who's going to kind of explain the challenges that they were having at All Island Media within their customer service department and why he came to us to sort of help out. So
great. Thanks, Phil. I think I'll start with our journey, our AI journey, which only started recently as last year, really. So our first project, the start of last year, was Jeepers, which is an editorial system that allows sub-editors to check reports and contributed copy against the JP Style Guide. Prior to that, the JP Style Guide was something like a 20-page Microsoft Word document that a sub-editor used to have to sit through 2,000 words of contributed copy and spend hours, rewriting it and things. So we introduced Jeepers, which went down an absolute storm and have saved many, many hours a day for sub-editors. So when copy comes in from third parties, we can put it through Jeepers, and it's more or less ready to print. And that just means the sub-editor has to reread it and make any fine changes. So that was our first AI project. The next project we moved on to was PDF automation, which has probably saved us a day a week in man hours, and really boring man hours. And that was taking PDFs, extracting key information we needed and typing it out, and then getting a sub-editor to check that. So working with Blue Llama, we've fully automated that, and now it goes through the process and is just signed off at the end by a human to make sure it's correct. So that was our first two projects last year. And then we moved on to our customer services issues, which we started at the start of the year with Phil at Blue Llama. And the reason that unfolded was an app launch. We launched an app. So prior to that app launch, we probably had about, I'd say, 100 contacts a week, and that'd be through email or phone calls going through to our subscriptions team. And that would be issues like account setups, payments, login problems, late or missed deliveries if your payment wasn't delivered, or the boat didn't come in and your latest magazine hasn't arrived. So they were always busy. But at the start of this year, we changed app providers. We moved from a company called PageSuite to a new company, PugPig. PugPig sort of provide apps for most of the national newspapers. And we planned this really carefully, this migration, and ran maybe a month worth of ads and email campaigns to all our subscribers. And very few actually read them or made any action to do anything about this change. And the change for them really was they just need to reset their password. So when it came to a time when we launched the app, we were inundated. I think we probably came close to 1,000 calls or email contacts within a week, which flooded the team, and I escalated it to anyone who's available, from the advertising to editorial, to take calls or handle emails. So that was really the tipping point for me, and the reason I started that conversation with Blue Llama. We needed something that was scalable and was intelligent, and I think we found that solution. And I'll hand over to Anish, and he'll tell you guys how he's done this.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. And hello, everybody. Yes, just to introduce myself, I am the AI automation lead at Blue Llama, and I will be going through the solution that we developed. To start with, I would say, as Phil mentioned, one of the key values of the company is to really discover and understand the processes and the reasons why certain tasks are done in a certain way. So we initially started the conversation with a detailed discovery of the specific steps that are taken, or the specific actions that need to be taken when it comes to dealing with particular requests and emails coming through to the inbox, but also understanding certain ways of information being routed to different individuals. So when we looked at developing this AI and automation flow, we wanted to understand the nuances of it, rather than it just being a blanket automation for customer service. We realized with AIM there were specific aspects that needed to be understood and addressed, and one of them was emails with negative sentiment. They did not want the AI to respond automatically to that, and also the importance of voicemails. So transcribing those voicemails, but the AI not responding to that, but allowing the team to be able to review those transcriptions without having to download the MP3 and listen to it and then respond. So we're really looking at the ways that we could add value, save time in the most simplest way forward. One of the key principles I had always in mind was to make the solution basically easy to understand, easy to use. When I show you right now the solution, you'll see from the back end of the no-code platform that we use how complex it can be. But my goal was for Matt and his team to be able to handle, manage, and grow the solution inside the company as and when they needed. So you'll see how we've thought about that and how we've done that. What I'm going to do right now is present just a very quick contextual slide of the solution, of the flow diagram, and then I'll give a demonstration of the specific flows that you can envision for a customer service AI solution. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Great. I'll give it a second just to load. Fantastic. So what I'm going to show you here is a very simplified diagram of the flow. What we did with Matt and the team was a lot more detailed and a lot more different intricacies, but for the purpose of this webinar, I've simplified it to its core essence. So essentially the way we've looked at the solution is first, obviously, when an email arrives in the inbox is when essentially the automation is triggered. So this email was the Outlook client that we had, and the email consisted of both either a voicemail, so we knew that there was a condition of all the voicemails will come into the email, so that made it a little bit easier to keep everything in one place, and also any particular emails that had specific content would be dealt with through the automation. So this would trigger the automation. And then here, when the automation came through, this is where we would start to use the AI to support in classifying exactly what the email content was about and which categories we needed to deal with. So through this classification and through the discovery work we did with AIM, obviously there were two main conditions here. The first condition was, can the AI, which we label Clara, so you'll hear Clara a lot, Clara is the AI, can Clara respond to this particular request? So we would have a list of categories, which I'll show you in a second, of the type of emails Clara can respond to. So one example would be a password reset. So this was a simple and easy thing we can give to the AI to say, we don't need necessarily someone to go in and respond to this. We can have the AI understand exactly how a password reset is done and explain to the customer, this is how you reset your password. So this was a simple one for us to add to the knowledge base for Clara to respond to. However, the other condition would be, well, what do we not want Clara to respond to? So there were three main conditions, which I'll show you in a minute what they were. But the ones that Clara could respond to, she would check the knowledge base, which I'll show you in a second what that is. And then once she's checked the knowledge base, she would then either draft a reply. So initially we were doing drafting, so for the team to actually review the draft before sending it. So we gave it 2 to 3 weeks of drafting replies so that we can iterate the model, the AI prompt, to ensure that the way that Clara was responding was aligned to AIM's way of responding as a customer service support member. So that gave time, and now it actually automatically responds by itself. When it comes to the things that Clara could not respond to, there were three main types of things that she could not respond to. One was things that were not in her domain, or things that are topics that she shouldn't respond to. So like, say, finance queries, such as, I don't know, can you change my subscription, or can you anything maybe to do with, like, one of the things was paper deliveries. So this is not something that Clara can handle, and it has to go to a different team called distribution. So when that topic came up, we could escalate it or forward that email to the right team automatically. So there were specific topics that Clara could not respond to. The second one was anything that had a negative sentiment. So that required a human touch or a human engagement. So what we would do here is, even if it was, let's say, a password reset, which was something that Clara could respond to, but the primary point was it a negative sentiment? If it was, then she should not respond to that, or the AI should not respond to that, and therefore it should go and be escalated to the relevant department to deal with. And then the final one was a voicemail. So the only goal here was to transcribe so the relevant team could deal with it. But the transcription also needed to be analyzed by the AI to understand, is this voicemail to do with distribution? Is it to do with finance? Is it to do with customer service? So we had to allow the AI to understand that and set up the routes to send it to the relevant department. So the departments, in essence, in the Outlook, were the folders or an email address that we would forward it to the relevant team member. In addition to that, through the discovery that we did with AIM, we understood there were some more specific aspects to the solution that was required in order for it to be something that could be manageable, controlled, and scaled. So a few things that we added to the solution was an audit log. So every single email that Clara dealt with, whether it was responded to or escalated, where there was an audit log kept, so that you can just go in and see how has Clara dealt with that. The second thing was a weekly report. So we wanted to assess the performance of Clara. Was it, could when in the future we can actually do an ROI of Clara's ability to deal with emails and respond, but also something that we recently had a discussion on. There was, times that actually we can get Clara to take on more work or take on more response that she's not currently dealing with. So that weekly report gives us an indication on how well the AI and automation is performing. The ability to turn it on and off, so you don't need to go into the no-code platform that we're using and having to figure out how to turn it off. There is a simple toggle that says on and off in a spreadsheet that allows anyone in Matt's team to turn it on and off. And then the final thing is, and the most important thing, is a scalable way to expand the Clara's knowledge base. So if there's a new app development or a new feature that's come out and there's lots of requests coming in, we can add that to the knowledge base with ease, and then Clara can respond to that. And that's something that I'm going to demonstrate today. So my screen is set up like this to give you a clear indication on how things will work. So I will go through each screen in a second. The first thing I want to share with you is the categories. So this was AIM's categories that we set up. So here you can see this is a spreadsheet in which the automation uses to figure out how and what it should respond to. So here you can see password reset. It will go and it will be first responded to by the AI, but if it's a negative or it's a voicemail, it will go into the customer service folder, DGC. So these are the different routes that we set up. I won't go into all of them in detail, but for the demo, I've had something a bit more simplified for more of a general demo purpose. So I won't be using AIM's AI automation for the demo. We set up a clone specifically for this webinar. The second thing is the knowledge base. So this is the knowledge base. This is how simple and easy it is to set up. So we have the context for the AI agent. So here, for this demo, I've just used a kind of a demo company, software accounting company that allows small business owners to do bookkeeping X, Y, Z. So we explain to the AI, this is the context of the company. These are your instructions. And then the most important thing is the common issues and responses AI can reply to. So for example, subcategory password reset. I forgot my password is a typical issue. And then the type of response you would want the AI to handle. Same here, change email. And then this is the type of response we can have the AI to respond to. So here you can see, this is an example I will use in the automation, but let's say someone emails the team saying, I'd like to update my email address to my account. How do I do this? And then the AI will explain based on the knowledge base, very simple explanation, but the AI will add its own touch to keep it more service-like and support request-like as well. But this is the most important thing that we need to make sure is in the email. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones here as well. So this is a scalable way for you to add. Only 3 key things that you need to add is the subcategory, the issue, and the response. And I'll show you as an example on how to do that. So this is the routing for the demo. So you can see here, queries automation can respond to, password reset. Queries automation cannot respond to, payment or direct debit. Where does it need to go? Into the finance folder. So we'll see that in a second, how we do that. I will now jump into the make.com. So we didn't use Power Automate for this particular solution. We were already within the make.com stack before we have dived now into Power Automate. So we were already within this space. So we had built this back then within make.com, but this is going to be replicated within Power Automate very soon as well. So this is the automation that we have. I won't go into every single flow and module in detail, but I will explain how the flow works as I do a test. So I'll show that in a second. And then here I will show you the email structure that we've set up. So this is the email account that we're using. So this is for the dummy purposes, so the acme.g. And the folders that I've set up here, you can see customer service, Clara, and finance. So let's go into doing a test so you can see how it will work. So I'm going to use a first email would be need to update my email address. So I sent this email here. So, hey team, I recently changed my business email. I need to update it to this account, from this account. The old one was da 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 da, and the new one is da 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 da. Can you update it for me to tell me how to do it? So let's say this email comes in. I'm now going to trigger the automation. So we would typically have it running and it will then extract it as the email comes in. But for this one, I'm just going to trigger it manually. So I'm going to click choose where to start. So I'm going to grab this email. So need to update. And our expectation would be for this particular email that it will go into Clara's folder and Clara will draft a reply. So that's our expectation as long as it is obviously an email that it's not a negative sentiment. So I'm going to click save. And then run, and now the automation is running. So here it's checking if the email should be ignored, which it shouldn't, which I'll explain to you in that second. So it goes through. This is where the AI prompt is now classifying the email and then understanding where it should be sent. This is the flow that it actually drafts the reply. And now you can see the email has disappeared, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. So the email's disappeared because it's gone into Clara's folder. And we can see it's added the tag Clara, so we can tag and categorize it. And we can see the response it has. So it picks up that it's Tom. So thanks for getting in touch, Tom. You can update your email address by logging in, heading to account settings, personal details, For security, we'll send a confirmation to both your old and new email address. And we just added this particular response, explaining that it is automated as well. So that's the automation that happens end to end when it's something that the AI can handle. So now I'll show you, let's say it's a negative sentiment. So I'll just show you here. So again, can't reset my password. This is ridiculous. Honestly, I've had it with your system. Tried resetting my password 5 times. So we can get the gist that this is a negative sentiment. What should happen? So if it's a password reset, we would expect if it's not negative, Clara would handle. But if it is negative, we would want to put it into the customer service folder for a human to handle. So let's check this automation. So we're going to just click choose where to start. So see at the top. And then what would happen is we'll see it go into the negative sentiment flow, which will be up here. So it's gone to the knowledge base, it's checked declassified the email, and then it's gone up. So it's checked that it's negative, and then it's put it into the customer service. And it's added a holding reply as a draft, which we can automatically send if we're happy with it. So we can see here, so dear Anish, thank you for getting in touch and bringing this to our attention. Sorry to hear this. Your concern has been noted, and the matter has been escalated to the relevant team for investigation. We'll be back in touch as soon as we have an update. So here it's gone to the relevant folder, customer service, as expected, because it's the negative sentiment, and it's added a holding reply as well. And then the final one I'm just going to share with you is a voicemail transcription. So if I just do this, and we'll just go to a new voicemail from, click save, and we run it. This voicemail particularly is a password reset one, so we should expect it to go into the customer service folder. And there we are, just there within seconds. And this is the voicemail transcription. Hi there, yes, I'm just struggling to reset my password. I've forgotten it, silly me, very, very silly. That is literally the voicemail that I created. Is there a way on how to reset my password? That would be great to know. So it's picked it up as a password reset. It's a voicemail, transcribed it, put it into the folder. So the idea would be that the team would not have a massive inbox they have to deal with, but they go to their folder and action the ones that they should know need to develop to deal with. There is one more I just want to share with you, which is the Microsoft one here. And this example I'm going to give you is basically emails that should be ignored by the AI completely. So this is just an example. So let's say this Microsoft invoice is there. I've created a condition or a route to say ignore any invoice or Microsoft ones coming in, just as an example. So you'll see how the AI processes this. And this is the ignore file. So you can see it didn't run the automation. It didn't read the email. It didn't do anything with it. It just left it in the inbox as it should. And if I show you here with the performance log, you can see emails ignored. You can see this is the Microsoft one that was ignored. So you have an audit log of that. You also have the performance log here. So the emails that I've just dealt with here. So if I scroll down, you can see this is the email, need to update my email address. And then you can see I've recently changed, this is the email address to update. You can see is it a voicemail? No. The primary category, the automation put it in. The subcategory was correct. Sentiment was neutral, which was correct. Topics was a single topic. It was put into Clara's folder, which is correct. And this is the draft email that Clara had put. So you can review that. And you can, if you want, give it a score just to assess it as well. At the end of each week, an email is sent to the relevant stakeholders with this report, in which you can see how the AI has dealt with it. So you can access it here, but you also receive an email with the exact same information here. And then the final thing I just want to share with you is adding additional information to the knowledge base. So an example might be, let's say here, you want to, so let's say for this example, this company as an example, we can now allow our customers to do HMRC tax returns to the accounting software. And then the constant query we're getting from customers is, how do I file it? So let's say, for example, this is what's happening. What we can do very easily is if I go to the control system, there is 4 steps on how to add information to the knowledge base. The first thing is you would go to the knowledge base and do these 3 things. So we'll go to the knowledge base. And the very simple thing is we're just going to copy and paste this. And we're just going to remove this subcategory, remove this issue, and remove this response. And then I'm just going to copy and paste it here. So the subcategory is HMRC tax return. Sorry if I've triggered any concerns. Everybody has to file their HMRC tax return. How do I file my quarterly HMRC tax return? Might be the question that the team might be receiving. And then this is the response that is a very standardized response that we can have the AI explain to the customers. So we just put it here. Sorry, I've just done that a little bit wrong. The issue is not that, that's the subcategory. And then the response, that's the issue. And the response is there. There we are. So the AI now knows that the subcategory is HMRC tax return. The issue that might be coming up is, how do I file my quarterly HMRC tax return? And then we have our response here. So to generate your tax summary for HMRC, just follow these steps, 1, 2, 3, 2, 6. Once the report is ready, you'll see an option to download. So that's how this general company is saying to the customer how to deal with it. Now, the second step here, as you'll see, is, sorry if I go here, is to add this subcategory into the routing system. So you can see in this particular one, there is no HMRC tax. So it would actually go into the other. So we need to make sure it's there. Without anybody needing to go into the spreadsheet, we set up a very simple way to do that for the team. So if I just remove that, sorry, if I go to add new category and I go to the form, I click on here. So this is the form, very, very simple. So let me just open up a little bit. So parent category, this is an automation that the AI can respond to. The subcategory, we can just add and just paste the exact same thing in the knowledge base, HMRC tax return. That's very, very important. Folder, if positive or neutral, naturally we want the AI to handle it. So we would say Clara. If it's negative or it's a voicemail, let's say we want to put it into customer service. Okay, we click submit. And now that's added. We'll give it a second. We should see it add to here. So this is another automation that we've created that automatically adds it here. So we can see that here, which is great. So now this has happened, we can then run a test. So we can put it, I'll just go to other just to move this one in because this was the test I did earlier. So we can see there is an email that has come through that says, I'm preparing for a quarterly HMRC filing and need to generate a tax summary report for the software. Can you tell me where I can find this in the dashboard? Also, is there a way to export it as a PDF? So this email has now come through. Let's take this as an example. And we would expect the AI to either, if it's positive, handle it, or if it's negative or it's a voicemail, to put it into customer service. And the response we would expect to see is something similar to this. So we can go ahead and test it. So if you wanted to test it yourself, you would just write a simple email and then expect to see that result in the audit log. But we're just going to manually test it. You can see it here, save. And this one, I would expect to see the Clara folder to go with the 1 here, and we can see the response in a second on how it deals with it. So here it's generated the reply. And it's giving a second to go through the knowledge base. Great. So now we can see the number 1 in the Clara, which means it's dealt with the email, HMRC tax. And here you see it. Hi, Anish, to generate your tax summary for HMRC, follow these steps. They're the exact same steps here. Once the report is ready, you'll see an option to download this PDF. So exactly how you expect it. So you can see how scalable the solution is and how you can give more work for the AI as and when new requests come in or new feature developments are made or any updates you have in the company that you can expect to receive more and more queries come in. You can then really strengthen your system in this way. So that is it from myself. So I'm going to pass it back over to Phil.
Back over to Matt first, isn't it? Matt, you just wanted to talk a little bit about the impact.
Yeah, no, back to me. Yeah, table tennis. So I just thought I'd sum up after Anish's excellent presentation. So what's that work done for us? It's actually revolutionized, how we work. So you've seen how Clara works. You see how simple updating its knowledge base is and creating categories. So every day we're not overwhelmed by, a Monday morning coming in after a weekend and having hundreds of emails and all the rest of it, because Clara's been replying to as much as she can over the weekend. And she's also been doing a sterling job at triaging all of the emails to the relevant departments to action. So you're not overwhelmed first thing in the morning and everyone knows what they need to do. And it's also important that Clara does a really good job at listening to voicemails and actioning them as well and putting them into the relevant folders for different departments. And I think what the impact has been really important for the staff, really. I think when I first started rolling out AI projects last year, there was a bit of negative sentiments, about AI and it's going to take over the world and all the rest of it. And now we've done projects that are really low-hanging fruits that people can see work and save them hours a day. I think it's been a really good hearts and minds campaign rolling out these small projects that really help staff. So what's that mean? What does that mean for Clara over the next coming months? So as you've seen how we get logs and we get reports. So now I'm overlooking these reports on a weekly basis, thinking, what else can Clara do? Have we got themes in all these responses? And how can we make her more useful? And there's also in the back of my mind, if we launch a new product or we make a major change that will affect thousands of our readers, is I can warn Clara and brief her so she's there to be helpful. So it's been a really, out of the 3 projects, I think it's been really impressive. So yeah, so over to you, Phil, for finishing up.
Nice one. Thanks, Matt. It's interesting how we give all our projects names like Olivia and Clara and Max and all these kind of things, and they kind of you talk about them there, Matt, and it's like as if they do have a personality, and we're going to give her more information and we'll brief her before some event happens. It's just interesting to hear. Okay, so one second, I'll just share my screen. So where am I? So yeah, just wanted to finally just sort of wrap up a little bit. So where to start on AI and automation in your organization? Well, in a way, you've kind of already started. So you're maybe ahead of the game in attending a webinar around it and starting your journey about learning about AI, because there's plenty that are kind of hiding behind and kind of, as Matt said, they're a bit scared about it. It's going to take my job. So they're ignoring it, but it is happening. It's already happening, and it's only going to get more AI in the future. So the more you can kind of embrace it and learn about it, it's going to help you both your business and also your career as well. And it's going to be those people that start early and learn that they're going to be more prepared in the future and more adaptable and have that what do you call it, the open mindset, the learning mindset, a growth mindset. So how do you start? Well, I think there's 2 main ways of starting. You might already have one process in mind in your department or company that you think will be ripe for automation. So it could be one of those where people roll their eyes, oh God, it's that time of the month when I have to do such and such and create that report or enter all that that information from one system into another, and it's like that's an obvious starting point. So picking that process and using the tools that we've talked about, or getting someone like ourselves involved to work it through is a great starting point. The other side is doing a process audit. So again, this is something you can conduct yourself, or bring someone like us in to have a look at the different processes. So if you're a small company, that might be all your kind of processes around customer service, marketing, finance, blah blah blah. Or it might be if you're just a customer, you have a customer service team, they might be looking at the different processes there. So from when a support query comes in to its resolution, what happens between that? Are there elements that can be dealt with by AI and automation? So yeah, it's a great thing that we're kind of offering this audit process, and we think it's a great way in. And ideally, we want to be able to do this audit process, identify those kind of, my old boss used to call the low-hanging fruit, the quick wins. And then once you've done one process, as Matt says, you might go, oh, okay, so we've done that, and now we could do this. And it's a start small and sort of build up gradually. And that's the direction we're going in, is kind of being your AI automation partner. And it's not a one project that might happen over 3 months. It's potentially little projects that happen throughout the year, and gradually you'll start saving more time, and you'll see how this past project has benefited, and you might get ideas for new ones. So yeah, the key thing here is just to experiment, keep learning. You might make mistakes. It's like that, that old thing of like, yeah, of course you might make some mistakes to begin with, but the more you try, the more expertise you'll have, and you'll be ahead of the game, because the people that aren't doing it now will, they'll be making mistakes in 2 years, whereas you've already made those mistakes and have a better understanding. It is a bit scary, and there's this picture here of the cockpit and all these buttons and levers and all that kind of stuff. And AI is like, from our perspective, it's difficult as well, because it's the technology is changing so rapidly, and stuff becomes out of date so quickly. But we're kind of concentrating on the processes and the technology. Like, we can, if a new version of ChatGPT comes out, we can easily plug in the new version using the API over the old one. And so while the technology is changing and stuff that it can do is enhancing, like, start now, and by the time you get to that second project, the landscape may have changed, that you might be able to do more and continue iterating on stuff. Cool. Okay, so we I can't see what time it is, but we have maybe 10 minutes or so for any questions and answers any questions that people might have. So if there are any, drop them in the chat. Oh, we've got one from Ivana. Do automations of that scale require some kind of maintenance to keep working properly? Anish, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So do automations of that scale require some kind of maintenance to keep working properly? It depends on the level and the complexity of the automation. So naturally, there are going to be some things that are unknown knowns, or unknown, i.e. some emails that might come through that we weren't aware of or weren't discovered through the discovery, and therefore post implementation it might prop up as something that we need to deal with. So therefore there is some level of maintenance to route certain emails or deal with certain emails in a certain way, hence the ignoring condition that we created of the route. So there were some emails that needed to be ignored. Naturally, with all automation softwares, there are updates, there are changes that can impact other automations. We keep a very close eye, and therefore, we would go in and maintain or make some updates. But I think the way that we work is there is this always ongoing support we will provide for all of our automations. It's never a situation in which we give it to the customer and then we back off and they have to then deal with it with themselves. We're very much hands-on kind of support led organization. So yes, there will always be some level of maintenance needed. Again, it depends on the complexity, it depends on the software, but we try to capture as many potential ways that we can have it scale without having heavy maintenance.
Thanks, Anish. Just yeah, I suppose it also brings up the concept of cost. We haven't really tackled that, but using the LLMs, ChatGPT, it's really like there's no kind of big upfront cost for these. It's all about tokens. Like every time we're integrating with ChatGPT or one of the other large language models, the cost is really quite small. It's like a fraction of a pence. So okay, that adds up, but it doesn't add up to a whole amount. If you've got 500 customer service requests over a month, then that's under well, it depends how many times we're using the LLM, but it's probably going to be under £50 or something at the very max. And yeah, there is licenses for the software that we use, but I think the value of it way outstrips the cost. And yes, there's the cost of, if you want to bring in some experts like us to build out these automations, and there's that cost. But on an ongoing basis, it's not a huge amount of money, and it's definitely cheaper than recruiting an extra member of staff or something by a long shot. So Rosie's saying, really interesting presentation, thank you. How long did this project take to implement? Come on, Anish. What's it, maybe 3 months or something?
Well, from my perspective, from a development perspective, I would say the development itself was probably 2 to 3 weeks. But I would say the most important thing was the discovery, so that we understood and we got the validation of the mapping, and we had kind of understood the requirements to the level in which AIM could say, yep, you've understood what we need, and the solution that we were designing needed to be kind of signed off as well. So that I would say, yeah, 2.5 months probably altogether to have the discovery, the validation of the solution before we built it, and then the building and the testing and the implementation. I would say, yeah, 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, there's a lot of time doing quality assurance, isn't there? So as Anish was saying before, to begin with, we were just drafting emails. So someone would have to go in there and then send and check the emails. And then when confidence built up, we allowed Clara to send those emails automatically. Any more questions? We are kind of approaching the end. Thanks, Rosie. If there's nothing else, then we'll wrap things up. But yeah, big thanks to Matt for agreeing to be on the webinar and giving us his point of view from our client's perspective. Thanks, Anish, for that great demo, and thanks for everyone for attending. And yeah, there will be other webinars on other areas. And yeah, appreciate everyone from attending, and have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thanks all. Take care. Bye.
Bye.